This is Will Lucas with another set of lost films from the 60s. This one showed up almost 45 years later. 1968 is coming to an end, cold weather has set in, and the water temperature has dropped to a level where the surfers are wearing their long wetsuits. It's Ocean City, Maryland, and shortboards just arrived on the scene earlier in the year, shortboards being defined as something under 9 foot. Terry Sterner is riding a Weber Mini Feather, and Gary Ferguson is riding a V-bottom. They're at 8th Street getting in tune for their first trip to Puerto Rico over the Christmas holiday with their friend Dave Hartman, all members of the Spider Wright's Dewey Weber surf team. I love films from this era. Surfers are transitioning from their longboards and still using some of the same styles, including knee paddling. While the boards were faster and more maneuverable than longboards, as compared to today's shortboards, they're slugs. But those first boards were just part of an adventure, experimenting with new styles all along the way. But surfing is much more than surfboards and waves. It's about meeting new people and experiencing new cultures. As a young person, it's usually done as cheaply as possible. Quite often, living out of a rental car and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches sprinkled with wheat germ. But what a great sport. 45 years after these films were shot, all 3 surfers featured in this film are still surfing and traveling. Here it is, their first real adventure, Puerto Rico, 1968.
Part of surfing really is the adventure of the surf trip, something I've always enjoyed. My first real surf trip was to Puerto Rico in the late 60s, right after I graduated from high school. I worked my first summer job at a movie theater, getting $1 an hour, $21 a week, so I could afford the plane ticket to Puerto Rico that Christmas. The plane ticket then was $132 round trip. Gary and I and David had a really great time the first year, and the next year I decided I wanted to go again. David and I spent the first couple of days at the Mayaguez Hilton because his parents went down and rented the car for us. And the next week we stayed in the car. It was not comfortable, but it certainly was a chance to surf full time at Maria's down near Domes. The first year we were at Punta Higuera, which was David's father, who was working for the agriculture department, had actually gotten funding for Antonio to build his whole resort in Puerto Rico.
My first trip out of the country was surfing. This was in 1968 with Terry Sterner and Dave Hartman. That was going to Puerto Rico and surfing Puerto Rico.
When the shorter boards came in, I remember the first kind of really short one I bought, I think it was a V-bottom. I'm not sure whether it was a Weber or Surfboards Australia or something like that, but it might have been like a 710 or something like that. And that was the first board you could really turn, but you could only do one big turn with it. After that, it was kind of just stuck in its own little thing. But it was the shortest board in the rack at that time, and I just always wanted the shortest one, it seemed like, or what the newest one was. So, then we kind of graduated to, I guess, Weber skis, stuff like that, and Weber pigs and all that kind of thing. They ended up on a 5.6 pig, which was great for little short peaks, but it was really hard to get that thing to go down the line. It just didn't really want to draw anything out. You're always doing these little tiny arc